Welcome home to St. Anne's. We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you.
As I get all excited. Justin, our former musician, left us to work in his vineyard. I know, but we got Emily, so, What? No wine, but, we love her for all of her other fun things that she brings. Okay, so vineyards. Grapes are finicky. Super, super finicky things. Nobody grows them because you think you're going to make money off of them. Because they're moody. Everything comes and kills it. So if you're ever interested in wine growing, so Justin has Facebook page, right, where you can watch him work on the vineyard. It's called Pug and Horn Vineyard. If you've ever been here on Pet Blessing, you know the pugs. So you can follow it, and it's fascinating to watch. I've loved following it because he goes out there and he talks about, what they're planting and how many they're planting and all the different things. But as a farmer from Iowa, this is what you do. You go out, you put the seed out, and then you come back and right about now, and you cut it down and sell it. That's not the case with vineyards. They are finicky. So you go out there and you plant each little vine, and then you put a little thing around it because things like to eat it. So you put a little thing around it, and you put a little fence around it because things like to eat it. And they're really moody because they get diseases. They're very, very sensitive. They're not corn, okay? Because I'm from the land of the corn. It just grows. And then you cut it down and you sell it. No. It's work. It is so much work. Do you get that from our readings a little bit? How much work goes into the vineyard? Because it's not just the stupid plants that you're going to wait for years for them actually to produce anything, of any substance. It's going to take a long time. Not only that, but then the preparation of wine creation, you want to enter into this one, EJ? It's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. And so do you get from our readings the sense that there's just so much that goes into the vineyard? Just so much. And so it can be tempting when we read these readings to think that we're the vineyard owners. We're like, I just do so much. I just do so much. And nobody appreciates everything I do. I'm a mom. I'm literally the queen of saying that. You wander around the house and you're like, why does nobody do anything around here? Why does nobody do anything around here? Hey, can you all hear me not complaining about you? No. Because they're like, oh my God, there she goes again. So it is our temptation to think that we're the ones. But we're not. We are the vine borers and the disease and all the other things that come to the vineyard that God is like, oh my God, now we have to deal with this too. But what's beautiful in these stories is the amount of love and the care that goes into the vineyard, that goes into creation. Think about it. Think about the beauty, especially right now. This is the one time that Missouri is at its best, right? I forgive Missouri for July and October. That's the only time. I'm like, okay, October kind of undoes what you did this summer. As long as we actually get it and it's not 90 degrees. Looking at you, Missouri. But there's just so much beauty, right? If you really think about creation, you take the time to look at what God has made, you're like, dang, right? I cannot be the only person that goes out there and is like, dang. But then we destroy it. We utterly destroy it. Do we give gratitude? Do we care for it? We utterly destroy it. I love the word here used, devour, because that's what we do. We devour things. We devour things. And when God comes to us and we get the feedback of maybe that wasn't quite what you were supposed to do, we're like, stone him. And I want us to think about that, not just in a biblical sense, but how you and I do it in our own lives. Because the reality is we are given so much to work with. So much. All of us are. It doesn't always feel like it. I get that it doesn't always feel like it, but we are. When we get feedback, how do we respond? Think about it. If a loved one, coworker, whomever comes to you and is like, hey, maybe that wasn't the best way to do that. Maybe we have some growing to do. How do you and I react? Think about it. How do you react? Our gut usually is defensiveness and anger. How dare you? How dare you? You can't say that to me. That's usually our gut reaction. If I call a kid in who is having issues with their grades, can I just be real? If you have 4 Fs in October, we got an issue. And they come at me, everyone hates me. It's not me, it's them. And I'm like, I don't think it is. 4 Fs would not be a them issue. 4 Fs would be a me issue. Okay, that's on a grand scale, but I want us to think about it individually. Because the reality is we all have our 4 Fs. And our gut reaction when we are presented with our 4 Fs, or we're presented with God showing up being like, where are my grapes? Is, how dare you? There are all these other reasons. It's not me. I'm not the problem. What if we're the problem? What if we did things differently? And I am not saying 100% of the time that negative feedback is always right. Okay? It's not. A lot of the time it's not. Sometimes positive feedback isn't right. I mean, I'm just going to tell you the truth. When I first came to St. Anne's, y'all just love too much. You love clergy too much, right? And I'm like, it ain't me. Trust me. It ain't me. So sometimes positive feedback isn't 100% accurate either, right? So what I want us to consider is how we hear feedback. How do we hear it and really, truly hear it? Because God has some feedback for us. And I'm going to break some news to you, and maybe it's going to be hard-hitting. We're not perfect. Did that come as a shock to anyone? I know I'm not perfect, but y'all aren't allowed to point it out. But part of love and community and growth is feedback, because it's only feedback that causes us to grow. Really true. Now, how we give feedback is important, but that's another sermon for another time. In fact, I probably preached that sermon. But don't worry, you'll hear it again, because I only preached 3 sermons. It'll come back around. I know there's the love sermon, the be better sermon. No, I only preached 2 sermons. That's it. That's all there is. 11 years took you. There's only 2 sermons. You know that, right? But I want us to think about true growth, because growth only comes from being pushed a little bit. And sometimes I think Americans, we don't grow very much because things are too easy for us. And sometimes I think us Midwesterners, middle class, affluent, white people, we don't grow a whole lot because there's just not that much push. We don't have a lot pushing us to grow. And if we're not pushed, we're going to stagnate. That's just the reality of it. So what we need to hear is, how do we hear that feedback? How do we grow from it? Because God has some feedback. So one thing is just to listen to it. Listen. You can examine it after you've listened. But when you have that gut reaction, breathe. Don't ever speak in a gut reaction, okay? Because honestly, it's a reaction, and reactions aren't helpful for anybody ever, anywhere. But if we take the time to just listen and say, okay, are there pieces here that might be true? My students, I already told Ken this, my students call me Dairy Queen because I'm soft. It's true. You guys know this. I'm weak as all get out. Weak as all get out. Part of my feedback is I struggle with having an actual tough conversation. I do. That's part of my stuff. And it benefits the fact that I'm a counselor and a priest because, hey, like, I just love everybody, and I'm soft and I'm cuddly. I mean, I'm probably not that cuddly, actually. Please don't touch me. You want to know why I like middle schoolers? Elementary kids, they hug you all the time. And then you have, like, snot tracks on you that you don't know where they came from. Middle schoolers don't do that. They don't do that, which is nice for some of us who are from the Midwest and kind of cringe about being touched. But it's fine. So part of the feedback that I have to hear is, why do I struggle with conflict? What is that about for me? Because it's true. And my gut reaction, and people are like, you can't have a hard conversation. My gut reaction might be, well, I'm nice, okay? Why are you yelling at me? I'm nice. But what if I actually hear that feedback? And what if I think about that? And you go through seminary long enough, you go through counseling degrees long enough, like, you know all about self-awareness because you spend all your time being like, you got some stuff to fix. So I spent a lot of time fixing my stuff. I spent a lot of time in therapy. I mean, I had half a day. On Friday, I had big plans. I was going to go shopping for plants. I was going to drink coffee. I got a new book. By Thursday, because it's been a week, and it's been a week for, like, the last, like, weeks, you know? Yeah, the weeks just keep happening. And you're like, it's not the week anymore. I finally texted my therapist, and I was like, yeah, I think I need to see you. Because we got some stuff. I need to work through some stuff. And believe it, self-care is less about chocolate and more about therapy. I know, it kills it, right? You're like, the ads were lying to me all this time. Yeah, it's true, the ads were lying to you. But sometimes you and I need to work on our stuff. And that's okay. And that's a good thing because that's where growth comes from. Because I don't want us to get trapped into the reaction place where when we get feedback from God, God shows up, we react. We stone God, we kick God out, we kick each other out, we kick love out. Because if we haven't grown in our vineyard, love has no room. Because our vineyard is devoured. Our earth is devoured. It's why you look at the news right now, we've got war. Again. It's bad. I'm going to tell you why we do that. Because we devour God's creation. We devour each other. We just devour. And it's because we are afraid of the self-awareness. We are afraid of caring for that vineyard and doing the real growth and the real stuff that we're supposed to be doing. It's easier to devour. And when someone points out, you're devouring, we kill them. Gosh, that's tough, guys. It's tough because God has spent so much time creating our vineyard. So much love and care and grace is gone into our vineyard. And all we have to do is love it. And instead of loving, we devour. It's that simple. And it starts on a small scale. Like, we want to talk about war and those people out there doing those things, don't we? Because it feels like we can judge it. I can judge what those people out there are doing. It's terrible, and it's awful, and it's really, really bad. But what if I worked on my stuff? What if I dealt with my own vineyard? Would that look different? And if we all worked on our vineyard, and if we all ceased to devour, and instead we cared for and harvested, things might look different. Imagine a world in which we care for and harvest. That's what we are invited to today. We're invited to a different way of being, a way of love, a way of grace, a way of harvest. Also, war. Ooh.
We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you.